So this is our complete product basket. We start with the PG entrance exams, and we have this government pharmacy exams, and we assist in international pharmacist exams also. We have in our team one registered pharmacist from Canada, two from Australia, and one from USA. And this guy recently came from USA and settled. Came back to India, and he is helping the pharmacy students and other students, particularly in this FPGE and NAPLEX exams. And we have another two people from Middle East country, and they are helping in these exams of this MOHDHA. And pharma IT careers. Of course, today is the main agenda is pharma IT careers. And you have seen pharmacovigilance, that guy from AstraZeneca. He has taken the session on pharmacovigilance. Like that, we have many people, particularly in this artificial intelligence. Maybe next week or after next week, we'll be planning one webinar in this artificial intelligence also. So this is our complete basket. Whatever may be the solution you want to have in your careers, we are ready to give that solution. So to lead entire team, we have two persons here, myself, Uma Shankar. I have almost 12 years of experience into sales, marketing, operations, worked with Johnson Johnson MSD. And my recent assignment is with Coloplast, and where I have taken distribution of that Coloplast and started a distribution firm, eSmart Healthcare. And we have this Excel Life Tech, and of course, S Pharma Education. And Dr. Jyotish, she takes care of all the academics part, coordinating with the faculty, students. She makes sure that the classes are running in a proper, smooth manner. She coordinates with the faculty, with the students, and she's the key role in doing this all syllabus planning, academics, everything she takes care. Apart from this, she is working as a vice principal in one of the pharmacy college. And not only she, every team, what I mentioned, all the 35 team, they are working in different organizations. So as pharma education is not the source of earning for us, it's the source of helping people. So we have our own set of earnings for us. So as part of our passion, as part of our love towards our profession, pharmacy. So you might be seeing last 3, 4 webinars, I brought only pharmacy people excelling in their careers. And today also we have these two expert ladies. They are from pharma background. They excelled in their careers. Clinical data management having of 6 years experience, and SAS. Yeah, I'll introduce their profiles to you. So as I said, we have confidential corporate faculty. We should not reveal their names, or maybe that makes their job uncomfortable. So that is the reason I don't want to reveal all those 35 names. So make use of it. The main agenda of this presentation is that you get maximum information. We are doing this webinar for free of cost. The reason is that at least if 5 to 10 people can think about their careers and they can exceed in their careers, that gives a lot of energy for us. That is the energy boosters for us. So when a student comes to me and asks, sir, I need a job, I show these opportunities to him. So what kind of job you need? So many pharmacy people doesn't have awareness where to go. So they think that they will follow their friend or they will follow somebody's suggestion, and they will blindly land up in their job without doing with their passion. So we are here to help you out. You, select your profession. I'll bring the expert from that field. You can talk to him. Based on that, you can decide your future. So if anybody asks me what is pharma IT, a pharmacy graduate having working on the system, maybe in the laptop or desktop, I'll consider it as a pharma IT. So there are plenty of opportunities in the pharma IT field, digital marketing, marketing research. Maybe you might be seeing companies like Market and Markets, this Global Data. These companies fall into this category, and insurance client. So you might have seen this UHG company, United Health Group. So they do this all the insurance claims of the US patients, and another is data sourcing and publications conference. And the emerging field right now is this artificial intelligence, data analytics, machine learning, all those things. And today our topic is related to clinical research, particularly to clinical data management and clinical sales. So I'm not the right person to share all these things. So that is the reason I brought two young ladies from this corporate company. One is Manidipti, having 6 years of experience in this clinical data management, and another is Mehraj Sheikh, having almost 5 years of experience. She worked in profiles like SaaS, clinical data management, and all. So make maximum utilization of the webinar. Ask whatever doubts you have with them. They are experts in their own field. So let us start the session. So Manidipti, are you there? Yeah, you can start
Hi,
the session.
Mashankar. I am there in the call. Yeah, sure. Meher, can you please share the screen?
So, first of all, I would like to thank Mr. Ramashankar for giving us this wonderful opportunity to just give you a brief about the industry from where we come and how we started our careers. This session is not only about just exploring the data management field or not about only telling you the various opportunities. It is about to share our experience from where we started and how are we seeing the future of India and or else the future of pharmacy to grow and exceed in their lives. So as given introduction, so we have Mani Deepti. So I know her since almost 6 to 7 years long back, where she started her career, and I can say that guys, she's a great inspiration. Her story is like a full of a what you call it's like a mix up of all ups and downs. But now where she's standing is what we are looking at, and the position she holds. Trust me, people take almost 10 years to reach over there, but with the effort and with the type of integrity she has reached to this way. So today she'll first take the session on clinical data management, then I will go with the SaaS. So Dipti, I'm sharing the screen. Please let me know once you
Yeah,
can see it.
yeah. Thanks for the wonderful introduction, Meher, and thanks to Uma Shankar for getting me here. So I'll share my experiences and I'll share my how we can manage the things and what are the opportunities in the clinical research. So I think everyone can audible, right? You just pin me in the chat that if anybody can't hear or anything else. Uh, I think someone is sharing the screen. Yeah. Meher, okay. So, what exactly you guys know about the clinical research industry? I just want to hear from you. Do you know anything related to clinical industry, clinical research industry, pharma industry? I'm not seeing any messages, guys. This is the
To check
I don't want one side conversation. Frankly speaking, I want two
to
way.
check the drug efficacy.
Okay. I'm asking you, like, do you know regarding the industry, like how many kinds of industries we have and what we can do? Okay. Okay. Let me tell you. So we have uh, wet labs and the dry labs. I call it as wet labs and dry labs. It's like wet labs means where we work in a pharma industry like production, R&D, and all the related to formulation. I mean formulation of drugs, so development of drugs, whatever. So coming to dry labs, what we are IT, the software where we work in desktops and laptops, as earlier said by Uma Shankar. So let's start the session. I think you guys are so quiet. Uh, okay, Meher, please go to the next slide. Why is clinical research required for us in this industry? Anyone? Okay.
And to
Uh,
check the efficacy.
so to check only to check the efficacy.
And data
We'll.
analysis, uh, uh,
Mm-hmm.
and
Please.
data analysis
Mm-hmm.
to, to check the data analysis and all the maybe.
Okay, it's not like that. If you are preparing a new drug means a new molecule. Uh, so we can't release it directly to the market, right? So here the where we play major role in clinical, I mean IT pharma industry, guys. So this is like we need to identify different species, so how it is affecting in humans and how we are relating it. We do this research in animals as well, right?
Yes, ma'am. Preclinical trials.
Yes. So how can you differentiate between animals and humans?
Preclinical and clinical trials. Preclinical trials means the studies conducted on the animals, and the on
Mm-hmm.
humans we consider it as clinical trials.
Oh, okay. Sorry, I don't know your name, but my question is to you, Mr. That so can you uh, think that animal kind of DNA RNA is similar to mankind of DNA and RNA?
No,
Yes,
ma'am.
ma'am. For that only.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, please go on. Hello. Hello.
Hello.
Yeah,
Hello.
yeah.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. For that only, we go for the first. We choose go for the first preclinical trials. In that,
Mm-hmm.
we'll go check the safety and efficacy of the drug. Then we'll go for the clinical trials.
Initially, will you check for safety and efficacy? How you will do that without any clinical research? Okay, that's fine. So basically, why we'll do in humans, why we'll do in animals as well. Particularly, few animals only we will choose for the research industries to for the drug development. So why we need clinical research industry, and why it is best, I'll tell you today. So it's like so in wet labs, now we can see the scenario where we are working from home and where the research people they are working from off, I mean from their organizations, so we can they are taking risk and we are safe. I don't say that that industry is we should not work, but like I prefer girls and boys who are really excited to work in IT industry. Uh, they need to just have a look into the IT pharma industries, because initially drug development, I think if new viruses are coming, we are developing a new drug, or else we are regularly using the old one with the small modifications. There are many and plenty of people there, they are passing from their colleges, so they might not get opportunities in a one field, right? So that's why we are so we need to ensure that we have many options, we have many domains where we can work from with our graduations and post graduations. So initially even I don't know, I used to work for a wet labs for few years. Later on I just moved to IT. Why? I have already learned there. So we are doing the same. It's not a unique thing. So in this industry, I should say you will find the different roles. and you'll find the different domains, how we will collaborate with one domain to other domain. We'll interact with one domain person to another domain, we can say clinical data management and SaaS, how we interact, clinical data management and PV, how we'll interact. So that's the reason this is the major platform for the clinical IT sector industries. We have multiple options also. Meher, can you please switch to next slide? Yeah. So this is the general definition of the clinical trials, where we I mean, what a bookish clinical research thing, I mean definition, which were it's a normal where you can get the things in Wikipedia or anywhere. But the thing is, it's a systematic drug, a new drug human subject to generate the to discover or verifying the clinical and pharmacology adverse events with the objective determining safety and efficacy of the new drug. So as earlier I said, and everyone knows that safety and efficacy is mandatory. How we are dealing here, the major role was to pharmacology department, pharmacokinetics and dynamics department. So initially when the drug is developed, so we will cross to different phases. So why we have so we'll find n number of molecules and n number of extracts. So they will prepare different things, but they need to identify the exact they need to identify the exact therapeutic area where does it works. So so we need to identify that we cannot do without any trials. So where the clinical trial industry takes the major part in the IT sector. So in this, in clinical trials, we have actually 4 phases of clinical trials. It's phase 1, phase 2, phase 3, and phase 4. In phase 1, involve a small group. It's just a small group of 20 to 100% healthy volunteers. They'll discover and they'll start how the drug is safe in humans, and they will. So in the phase 2, Meher, your screen was not able to see for Mohan. So can you please share the presentation again to him? So it's like in phase 2, it involves 100 to 500 patients who actually have diseases. Means in first phase, they'll pick the healthy volunteers, and they do the research. Sometimes the drug itself have side effects. So we don't know what will happen. So they'll pick only 20 to 100 people of the healthy volunteers, means which they'll not have any disease in the sense as per the protocol and synopsis. Inclusion exclusion criteria, we need to differ each and everything. So on the basis, we'll conduct the trials. So phase 1 goes like that for safety of the drug. Phase 2, to evaluate the efficacy and how effectively it is working. And coming to phase 3, the patients are involved, and n number of patients, like 1,000 plus. So here the overall benefits, risk. So what is the adverse events, serious adverse events, what we are facing? Is there any issue regarding this drug, or for few patients, this is not working, why this is not working, do we need to do any changes? So we will totally identify all the issues in these phases. No, so after completing these 3 phases, you need an approval for all the clinical trials. So it's like, if you after entering into the phase 4 trial, it's like the post marketing studies. You might have observed that few of the doctors, known doctors, if you have went to hospital, that they might give you, try this drug, the new one has come. So we have the I mean, these the medical team will approach, uh, the doctors, and they will explain regarding the drug, how effective it is, and how it worked on the 3 phases. So how effective it is and what are the side effects. So they'll give the options to the doctors that please use our drug, please let us know how effective it is working. These are the post marketing, like the few quantity of drugs are given to the doctors, and the medical, I mean, what we call them, uh, medical, I'm not getting it quick.
It is medical representatives, I guess.
Yes,
So you will
exactly.
have
Yeah,
these
yeah.
people there.
Yeah, exactly, Meher. It's a medical representative. They'll go to the each doctor, and they will say, so please kindly use this drug. In this, some interesting thing. If you are going to use this drug, we'll give you some percentage and all. But which doctors should not do, but they'll do. That's other side of the story. So.
Okay. Just one question, Deepti. So
Yeah,
sorry to interrupt. So
yeah, no
I'm
problem.
just interrupting. So are you sure that we have only these four phases of clinical trial? So it's not for Deepti, it's for the all. Okay. So do you think so? There are only 4 phases in the clinical trial?
One more phase is there, ma'am. That's phase 0.
Correct. So
Correct.
there is another phase. So that's the reason we didn't include. So we just wanted to check how people know about it. So can anyone
Yeah,
tell me what is phase
I wanted
zero?
to ask like whether it's there or not, but I think it's there. Phase 0 have recently come into this.
Exactly. So as you said, this phase zero is introduced like since let us say 5 years ago. So this is not added to all the studies. Okay. So where we see some studies related to oncology or else, let's say some studies related to nephrology or some studies, what we do is we know that the complexity of the disease. We know that how a cancer patient's body react or how their pharmacokinetic and dynamic parameters vary. So in this particular cases, for some studies where we have, for example, let us say we are taking a phase 3 study. As Deepti said, you will have a plenty of people around it. For example, it could be even crossing to 10,000 and 20,000 also. And this is the largest phase of clinical trial where you will see the maximum effect of the drug. And suppose this is the last phase which is going to conduct in the site. Okay. So phase
Yes, ma'am.
zero is nothing but so anyone know actually what is phase zero? So is it just what, that there is a phase zero or the definition also?
Post-marketing surveillance.
No, that is phase four. It's written there, right? Post marketing study. So it is phase four. Just now she said.
Ma'am, I think
That
in phase 0 they go for the molecules, I think.
No. So actually, one see in the clinical research, first step that is going to be happen is testing the molecule. Okay, finalizing it. So molecule steps are already done. But we know that before going into clinical trials, we make sure that we are performing the preclinical trials or animals. Correct? Yeah. So
Yes,
after
ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
preclinical trials, what we do is we go for phase zero also. So phase zero is nothing but microdosing of the drug. So, for example, you can see that in phase one, we are considering the healthy volunteers. Okay. So, we don't know that exactly what amount of drug has to be given to a healthy person also because he's not deceased. So, our drug might have some primary and secondary endpoints. So to decide these various parameters, first we will go for phase 0 trial. So in this phase 0, we will start with microdosing to just make sure that what is the minimum dose required to just see to generate the effect, and what is the maximum dose which we can give to a healthy volunteer or we to the anticipated deceased person. So this kind of thing is just decided on basis of phase 0. But we know that as per the FDA or as per the other guidelines, we are not supposed to include the phase 0 for all the studies. But typically, where we see that there is a huge risk of the disease. For example, as I said earlier, there could be an onco study, there could be a nephrology study, CNS study. So all these are some complex departments where we see that there is a high risk level. So just to ensure that we are not harming any kind of subject or anything, we will do this. Okay. So as someone said me about post-marketing surveillance also. So this post-marketing comes only when your phase 4 happens. So I have another question meanwhile. Okay. So do we get any approvals for doing all these clinical trials?
Yes, it is required.
Okay.
Oh shit.
So that is fine. That is fine. So we require it. So can you tell me what is the regulatory body that governs this whole trials and all, with respect to India or with respect to US?
Shall I?
Ma'am,
Or someone?
DGCI.
No, Deepti, you are not supposed to answer.
Ma'am.
Okay, you know it. It is for them.
Ma'am, DGCI.
Sorry?
Ma'am, DGCI.
No. So
DGCI.
have you ever heard about this thing, US FDA?
Yes, ma'am. US FDA.
So this is the governing body which is going to look after or take care of whole clinical trial in all aspects. So do you know, for example, anyone have an idea while going for a molecule? And for example, I'm taking a molecule and I just want to get it tested. So I need an approval. So what is that particular form which we are going to file to FDA for this clinical trial?
NDA form, ma'am. New drug approval form.
It is relevant, but it is irrelevant also. When we are going for preclinical trials, it is always INDA, investigational new drug. Because your drug is in the phase of investigation, we will make sure that first we are taking an approval from FDA in terms of INDA. That okay, this drug we are going to investigate, boss. So can we do it? So once upon approval, you will have some parameters also. The outcome of your preclinical trials is sent to FDA. Upon their approval, you are going to start with this clinical trials. And the NDA, which you said, is nothing but new drug abbreviation. This is filed only once we are done with phase 3. So till phase 3, you will have all the parameters, the pharmacokinetic, kinetic, dynamic, safety, efficacy, all the parameters. Now we are going to say to FDA that, boss, we have done all this trial and we have this data. So we are going to file a new drug with all the parameters, and if upon their approval, you are going to again go for post-marketing surveillance. So anyone know how much time it will take to conduct this post-marketing surveillance?
Shall I?
No, not you.
Wow, what is this, man?
You know it. They are knowing or not, that is important, right?
Ma'am, I think post-marketing surveillance, there's no
How?
limit. Like anything may happen to the patient, and anyone can report the adverse event to the
But
company.
there,
No,
okay,
there
let
will
us.
be a limit. For
Correct.
every study, there will be a limit. There will be marginal lines actually. For each individual, we have a different marginal line. Example, if your study is in starting, it may take 3 to 6 years. In
No,
between,
Deepti,
it may.
I guess we should ask one intelligent question over here because we have all the pharmacy people over here. So I have one question. So I guess we should have asked this early to this discussion. So my question is, averagely, how much time do you think so a marketing product takes from its innovation into market? How much lifespan it, like how much time it would be? How many years of time it will take?
15 years.
20 to 30 years.
Then patient will die, if there is a new disease. For example, let us take corona. If drug is coming after 30 years, what is the use was?
Fast track approval.
The average
So
time which we has is 12 to 15 years. Okay. So this 12 to 15 years is the process till you finish your post-marketing surveillance. And for this whole 15 years, the patent which a company is going to get for manufacturing this drug and producing this drug is 5 years. Okay. So overall, you can say its whole lifespan revolves around 20 years. So out of this 20, we have a fixed time of 12 to 15 for the trial. So it doesn't mean that every trial has to take 12 to 15 years. That depends on the trial, how fastly it is happening, and how rapidly we are getting the instances of the reports.
So in few trials, I just want to add.
Hmm.
It's like if it is a onco study, it will take a long time because we can't take more risk because few therapeutic areas it will take a long time. It's not only 15. It may take 20 years as well. So few therapeutic areas it will take only 10 years.
Correct. So Dipti, you can continue, Dipti. Sorry for the interruption. So I
Hey,
just
no
wanted it
problem. That's
little active, so that's the reason I involved. You can move
yeah,
ahead.
yeah.
Yeah,
Even it's very boring for me. The class is so dull.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Go
No
ahead.
issues. Um.
So shall I
So
move to the next slide because we are done with
yeah,
the clinical phases, I guess.
yeah.
Yeah,
We can move.
correct.
So we have multidisciplinary roles in clinical industries. Start from the investigator, site coordinator, pharmacologist, trialist or methodologist, biostatistician, lab coordinator, reference lab project manager, clinical research manager, associate or clinical research associate, monitors, regulatory affairs, clinical data management, IT persons, trial pharmacist, and we have clinical supply team and auditors and study physicians. No problem, Meher. I can go on. It's like we have different roles in IT industry that where we do we have different roles because we need each every role have their own potential. So can you say that without doctors can we do clinical trials? No, right? Without a site coordinator means the person who need to coordinate with the with the data. Is this possible? No. So so each individual role have their own capabilities and own things where we need to look into that where we can fit for our qualification. So so I have done my pharma. I can so that I will go and sit in investigator place. This is not possible, boss. So we can if we have done we have done our graduations from pharma background, we can fit in site coordinators, we can say fit as biostatisticians, we can fit as lab coordinators, reference lab, project management, and we have clinical research associate, research managers, monitors, we can fit in regulatory affairs, clinical data management, and safety surveillance, everything we can fit in each and every individual role except the doctor role, investigator role. I must say you this. So what exactly the scope of data management means? The main scope of data management is to collect, validate, and analyze the clinical data. So so for each data, if you are choosing one we suppose if we are choosing the therapeutic area of onco study, so we have a number of persons. So here we have a CRF data and non-CRF data. We have so do you know regarding the CRF and non-CRF data? Anyone? CRF and non-CRF data. Okay, so I'll just give you a brief on CRF and non-CRF. So CRF means EDC.
Uh,
Yeah.
Deepti, just hold on. I
Mm-hmm.
would like to add a note on it first. Before getting into CRF and non-CRF,
Mm-hmm.
can you just give us a brief, like with the starting, like how, as you can see, this is an overview of a
Yes.
pictorial diagram.
Haha.
So before starting into CRF, non-CRF, I have a small question to
Mm-hmm.
all the audience which we have right now. So can you tell me, what do you think so? Why are we calling a patient who's enrolling into clinical trial as a subject?
And how you are approaching?
Yeah. I thought we have a very good audience who wants a very interactive session, but why all are sitting so calm?
Condensation, random fields. Because of we study the subjects, case report forms, I'm getting few, but I'm not getting the exact answer.
Okay, small question, guys. Why he's called as a subject? Why not a patient? Come on. Okay, we can talk it verbally. You can unmute your voice thing, and you can just talk
Mm-hmm.
instead of chatting, because it's very hard to what you
Yes,
call
I'm.
decode all your comments and things. So we can have it very verbal thing. So you can just tell us like why it is called as a subject. Why not a patient?
Subject is not healthy, Rima.
So you know it, right? We want that from them, isn't it?
No, they are texting actually here, so I'm just answering
Okay,
them.
okay. Thank you, thanks. So see, it is very basic thing that you know that the human psychology which we have. For example, if we have little, for example, let us say the current situation nowadays, it is like if you have little cold and little throat pain and little fever, you might have an anticipation that okay, something is wrong with my body, and some other person comes from outside and says that, oh my God, you have these symptoms, then you need to get tested for corona, isn't it? So, and that person manually, with his psychological feeling, he will start thinking that okay, I might have something wrong. That is why this guy is telling, and my things are persisting. Even though it is reducing in his body, still that person psychologically may think that okay, there is something wrong with me. That's the reason it is persisting, and everyone are coming back to me and telling the same thing. So to avoid this kind of bias between the patients in this site, and as you know that in clinical research we are using both the types, healthy volunteers as well as other patients, deceased one. So just to avoid that bias between them and to make a uniformity among the trial, we call them as subject. So it's a thumb rule of clinical data management that a patient who is enrolled in the trial is always referred to as a subject. Okay. So apart from that, I would like to give just a pictorial, what you call overview on it. Then Deepti will continue with the clinical data management part. So let us just start in this way, that a subject is coming. Okay. Let us assume we are doing a phase 3 study. Okay. We are doing a phase 3 study with 500 patients into the trial. Okay. So these 500 patients are going to be there at your site, coming to visit your site, take the drug and give the samples for almost 5 to 10 years. Okay. So this 5 to 10 years, the patient has to visit the site, the investigator has to take the drug, he has to give the samples, everything. So for this 5 long years, how do you think so they are going to take the reports? For example, we go to Vijaya Diagnosis, we say that we have a fever persisting for 1 week. So we are getting it tested for typhoid or anything it could be. So they give us a paper format of report, correct? So this paper format of report, what do you think? So how long can we store it? So Deepti, are they giving any answers in the comment box? I can't see it.
So no, 5 years. Rima said 5 years.
Okay, 5 years. So how long is it possible for you to store that in a paper format itself?
It depends, ma'am, how we are
Uh,
storing that.
Zoom your pictorial thing. So they are requesting. Yeah.
Okay. So now is it fine? Yeah. Okay, so someone said depends on how we are storing it. Okay, tell me, for example, I am storing the data since 2 to 3 years. Okay, suddenly there is an incident happened in my lab. Okay, there was a fire accident which happened in my record room. All the prescription, for example, I'm storing it in a paper base. So all of them are burnt. So what should I do next?
Then ma'am, you have to store it on another data kind of thing. It's on computer maybe.
Correct.
Why
This
should
is
Yes,
you?
what we
Rima.
were expecting. So Deepti, you can continue from here. We got the answer.
Yeah. Okay. So actually coming to the CRF and non-CRF, what is the need of this clinical data management? I just want to know from you guys. So do you know anything? What is the need of the clinical data management? Why we require data management in clinical
To keep it,
industry?
ma'am, to keep it long or to keep the data safe
Mm-hmm. Good.
and to access it anytime.
Mm-hmm.
So we can use any patient details or any kind of data which belongs to anything, maybe.
Okay. Okay. That's a good one. And I'll give you a brief. Like the process only we can do is in clinical data are complete and correct and validate the data. We need the neat and clean data, so we need to validate the data. This can be used for the statistical analysis. So for the whole data which you have collected, it is used for statistical analysis. Why we need to share the data to the statistical team? See, while submitting the data to the regulatory bodies, we need to share in a statistical way, as per the tabulation. So Meher will explain you regarding this as uh, in that tabulations, right? The exact data, how much, how effective it is, how safe the drug is, and what are the adverse events you have find. So everything will be in that statistical analysis in a tabulation form. So in the the CDM is the process accordingly to the ICH, GCP, and other regulatory guidelines. We have two kinds of studies, like paper-based studies and EDC studies. So in this, so coming to paper-based and EDC studies, as Meher said, we can't keep the data a long time in paper, so we have moved to IT. So that's what we are doing right now. So Meher, can you please switch the slide? So we have we have the three phases in data management. We have the startup phase, we have the conduct phase, and we have the close-up phase. What we'll perform actually in the startup phase? I'm in the setup phase. So we need to develop the CRF, we need to develop the guidelines, CRF completion guidelines, we need to design the database, we need to validate the specifications, and we need to prepare the data management plan. We need to test the database, test the database, and we have the three kinds of testings in database. So we can't blindly go and do straight away after developing, after programming. We can't directly blindly go into the production field, and we can't enter the data, start entering the data. So we have here, like I can say you, it is called UAT testing. We call it as user acceptance test. So in this we have three more parts, like screen testing, edit check testing, and report testing. So how does it actually works, and what need to be done uh, from the kickoff meeting to till the database is live? We are going to ensure all the documents are in place, and right from the protocol, because protocol, so coming to the protocol, who will write the protocol? I have a question to you. Who will write the protocol?
Companies?
Company will give you, the client will give you the synopsis, not the protocol. So there is a different domain for that. What's that? It's a IT domain. You guys need to know that. From IT. No, not the investigator exactly. Lavanya, it's like a medical writing team. There is a medical writing team domain. So they'll write the protocols. Based they'll discuss in a kickoff meeting what exactly they want. If I am the client and you guys are from different domains, you are sitting. So as I am a client, I will say, I want this therapeutic area. I want the lab ranges in from this to this, and I want these units. So the so the protocol, and I want 56 to 100 visits. I mean 100 visits. I want 100 visits, and the patient will be dosed only till 50 visits. Later on, we'll check the adverse events, how so called follow-ups, like so it's the so they'll give you the just outline of the we can say it as a skeleton. They'll give the skeleton, so we need to build the protocol. This is the key role where the medical writing team will build a protocol. It's a very crucial thing also, because if there is any error in the protocol, then we are done. Humans are done, actually. So based on that protocol, we'll prepare the CRF document, like annotated
But there are three phases. I'm sure you might agree that in this three phases, trust me, there are 3,000 different tasks which has to be done.
Yes.
So just to understand all these things, it is very important for a person to get trained into it. Apart from that, trust me, no one will tell you what is inside it. And nowadays, the company requirement is in such a way that they take people with at least 70% of knowledge into the database and into the subject. Okay, Dipti, you can continue.
Yeah, coming to the conduct phase, we have a data entry, data cleaning, and discrepancy management. We have data external data loading, essay reconciliation, medical coding. So we have in a conduct phase. See, you can we have different roles. Even for each individual role, we have each individual. For companies, actually, the MNCs looks like, if you are into a setup phase, it doesn't mean that you will be only in. So you'll frankly speaking, if you are going to one MNC as a fresher, or something as an experienced person, or something like that, so you'll start from the conduct phase, not from the setup. Setup is for 10 years of experience, or you might show your improvements earlier, frankly speaking. So that's so coming to this phases, it will take a bit long. So as Meher said, we need to go to the classes on this. So coming to the closeout phase, we have a freezing and locking. We have in locking also, we have soft lock and hard lock, and we have if we freeze, and how to unfreeze the data, and if we are going to lock, how to unlock the data. We need to dig into the things. Uh, so do you have any questions in data management? So, Meher, go to the next slide. So it's like we have different job roles. Actually, I'll just brief you. A clinical data manager. So not not only for CDM, I have added few for like coordinators as well and research associates as well. So for to give you the knowledge, so how the roles are described in the organization. So we have the clinical data manager for clinical data management. We have the clinical data associate. What is locking in closeout phase? Sorry guys, I can't say it's a big topic. We have two different phases, as I said you. Soft lock and hard lock. It may take too much time actually. So in a brief, I just want to say you database lock means the study is end. If your database is locked, your study is end, boss.
And you can't take out that study until unless you have, once the study is logged, for example, there is an error which has happened in the database. Okay. So now you say that you have to go back and change the data. You can't do. You can do only with the permission of the sponsor, audits, escalations. There are lots of things which is going to be done. So before locking any
Yes,
study,
yes.
it is the data manager or the lead data manager who is going to take care of all the queries, all the data cleaned. So once the data is cleaned, then only that is sent to the statistical part for analysis.
And please don't call me ma'am. It looks too odd for me.
Okay, ma'am.
Huh? Arey man. Yeah, we feel too old. I feel. So I don't prefer ma'am. You just call me money. Yeah. So we have in this associate coordinators means who enters the data. We call it as coordinators, and associates means who are verifying the data. Managers means the clinical data managers do from the startup to close out phase. So these are the domains. So we'll start with the associate. Next to the 1, 2, we will have the team lead, later on manager, later on project data manager, associate director and directors. This is the job roles, I mean job flow, how we start. Initially, if you are a fresher, you'll start as a associate clinical data manager, or if you have 2 years of experience, you'll start with CDA, CDM 1, clinical data manager 1. So it depends on the experience you have. You'll have the job roles will be different, your responsibilities will be differ for each individual role. There is a specialty that for each individual role they have their own responsibilities. So this will not differ from this will differ from experience, and this will differ. So you need and you I hello.
Yeah,
Someone,
you're audible, Deepti.
I'm audible, but I'm getting, yeah.
No, someone has some doubt, I guess. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes, one thing I wanted to ask, like, which graduate is fixed into which field, which position, like a B farm and a M farm or a farm D, depending on that they use, or yeah, they would just want the knowledge.
Okay, so I would like to answer this question. So actually, as you said, the basic qualification will be for entering into these roles would be B pharmacy. So your education definitely is not going to impact on the job roles which you are going to get. Okay, so initially you can start as a fresher. So you will get clinical data manager 1 or clinical data associate 1. So you're starting your journey over there based on your experience. Yeah.
Whoever it might be a B farm or M farm or farm D, they'll be starting from the clinical data management associate.
Yeah, clinical
Yes.
data associate. See, why we have given these 3 roles is because, for example, there are some CROs in which the designation is clinical data manager. For some CROs, they call it as clinical data associate. For some, they call it as clinical data coordinator. For some, they call
Okay.
it as clinical data specialist. So depends. So that's the reason it has been given hyphen. But basically, as a fresher, whenever you join into the industry, you are welcomed as
Associate.
a clinical data associate. So this might vary. So for example, for reaching all these steps which are given below, trust me, if you have an experience of 15 to 16 years, you will be in the position of director, depending upon your performance. So it is purely on your experience and the way you perform in the industry, your growth depends on. So if you start as a fresher and you perform extremely well, so there is a chance within 2 years, you get promoted as clinical data manager too. So your experience and your performance is the key for your success into this industry.
And one more thing, ma'am, like I think a few of them are working in the IT industries. One thing I wanted to ask is whether there is any superiority for a B Farm over a PharmD or a M Farm over a PharmD.
No.
Because PharmDs are not more to the IT side, but nowadays, due to the lack of scope, they are coming towards the IT side. So I just wanted to clear it out, like whether there's something like this or not.
Yeah, so honestly speaking, your question is very correct. So I think all of them who has completed all these degrees should have this question. So good question.
No, because
So
I'm a PharmD intern, ma'am. Because of this pandemic, I got stuck into it.
no,
I
I understand. Actually, as you said, for example, for B pharmacy, M pharmacy people also, you have opportunities in the pharma sector. But the reason why they are attracted towards the IT industry is definitely because of the level of opportunity, and I will say the pay also. So at the end of the day, the thing matters is pay.
at the end of the pay matters, ma'am. But
Trust me, with PharmD degree, you are not going to get a doctor job in India at least. I can assure you this.
no, that's why many of the Famdians are going in the IT field, ma'am.
Yeah, that is what I'm telling. So basically, you require a B pharmacy degree, or if you're doing a PharmD also, you're eligible for this. If you're doing M pharmacy also, you're eligible. But your degree is definitely not going to add into your experience while you came into the industry. So it is always, if you're M pharmacy also, you have to start as a fresher. For example, you're a PharmD graduate, you have to start as a fresher. But the only liberty I'll say for PharmD students we have is they can go into pharmacovigilance. Maybe in some companies they can give you an opportunity to treat the adverse to analyze the adverse events and all. But what I learned in being this industry since 5 years is definitely your education is not going to impact, neither your marks are going to impact over here. The only thing success which you are going to get into this industry or getting into this industry is knowing the knowledge of the domain which you want to go. For example, there is a domain CDM, so you have to have the knowledge of CDM. This knowledge you can get it from the institutions which we have today. So long back when we started, it was little tough to find the institutes which gives you a quality education. Okay. So when I say quality, it really matters of a quality, because there are so many institutes which say that we will train you in CDM, we will train you in SAS, the training will be for 15 days, 20 days. But guys, please don't get into all that stuff, because trust me, companies are looking for the people who know at least 70% of knowledge of this particular domain where you want to get in. And this 70% is only you can get only when you have a trained person who is going to train you, or else let's say the professional who is working. At that time only it is possible for you to get that huge knowledge. For example, today I'm able to show you database because I have that liberty, because I'm working into it. So I'm giving you the real time experience which is already happening in the company. But the people, because it's like just overview, I'm telling you, it is always better to take a demo from the person who is going to train you on that particular process and try to understand how it is going to happen. And another thing really I want to tell is, for all the freshers or all the people who really want to get into this industry, guys, we have a very good platform of internet nowadays. Okay, we do lots of browsing in social media, for example, Facebook, Insta, everything. For our careers, if we are going to take little time and do Google search, you have all the stuff over there. You will come to know that what are the various opportunities you have, as well as what are the different companies which are giving you these opportunities, as well as different institutions where you get this type of quality of education. And I must say, ES Pharma is one of the institutes which give you a very best quality of education. I bet you no one in the market can give you this kind of education which they give. So I guess I have answered your question. Like all the maybe B Farm, M Farm, Farm D, everyone are welcome to this industry with their basic graduation.
Yes, At conclusion, ma'am, that if they have a good knowledge, they're eligible,
Yes.
irrespective of their
Yes.
Yeah, but
graduation.
a graduation degree is undergraduate or he has to be a graduate. This is the basic
Yeah, ma'am,
requirement which we
obviously.
have. So with that, if he has a good management, then
So
he is always welcome. Dipti, you were telling something.
you're from no, he's from like which domain? Pharma D, right?
Family,
One
yeah.
of my friends, she's
I'm a
working for one of you're a family person. That one of my friend, she's a family person. She's working in one of the good MNC. I can say everyone can work, guys. It's just the
See, at
knowledge.
least coming
And
into pharma industry, you're connected to your roots for sure. You're earning money with what you have
Yes, ma'am.
learned
Yes,
and
ma'am.
with something new which you're going to incorporate into IT. That's it. So you're not deviating your route
Yes,
somewhere
ma'am.
else. So this is one liberty you have with this field.
sorry, there is a question from Ali. How can we get connected with ES Pharma Education from outside of India to get its education?
So, Ali, so
So,
you can,
your
yeah. Okay, Dipti, just let me tell. So you can just contact Mr. Uma Shankar. So after the training session, he will give you the his company thing, how to approach him and how to get into all these things. So first, like connecting things and all question answers we can have in the end. So if it is related to the subject of which we are speaking now, you can connect with us. The later all this joining formalities or taking courses and all will be taken care by Mr. Uma Shankar. He will answer all those. Yeah, Deepti, please continue.
why lawyer is also a member in clinical research industry. I mean research committee. Yeah, guys, you just want to know that it's related to the subject. Means they are doing in human trials. So we can't assure that if the patient is dead right after there, means after using your drug, what you'll do? There will be a huge legal process. So that's the reason why lawyer is involved in this research industry. I think I'm done with CDM. So if you have any questions, you can ask me. So in detail, I can't tell you in a half an hour or something like that because it's a very vast subject. I can't. I'm not digging into the depth. So I just said you the overview, how it looks like, how many phases we have, and what we exactly do, and what are the subdomains. That's it. So if you want a brief introduction, you just reach out to Uma Shankar. So he'll just make sure when the availability of the classes and whatever it is. So it totally depends on the. How is pharmacologist involved? Yes, pharmacologist is involved in the site, like in the site where the subject is treated.
Study site, ma'am.
Yes, study site. So, if we want to take example as Gandhi Hospital, there they work actually pharmacologists. So it particularly depends on the site, and they'll come under the investigators, investigators, under the doctors, because these guys, pharmacologists guys, have a good knowledge in pharmacology and how the drug works, kinetics, dynamics, everything the guys knows. I mean, whoever it is they are working, they need to know. So they'll play the very key role in the industry.
Okay, so are we done with the CDM part? Deepti? So are we?
I am done with the CDM part. But if they have any questions,
Yeah, we have
they can
a
ask me
question
here.
and answers round in the last. So as we are running out of
Mhm.
time, so I would like to continue with SAS. So then we can, at
Yeah,
the
yeah,
end, we
please
can
go
discuss
on.
all the questions related to the
Yeah.
my subject. Okay, guys. So this was something about clinical data management which you came across. So I would like to start with SAS. So how many of you know what is SAS? Full form of SAS, anyone? And guys, please, I can't see your comments. So if you want to say something, please switch on your mic and tell me, okay? Because you can see my screen sharing, so I can't see any of your comments over there.
Statistical analysis system.
Okay. So what is SAS? Why is it used here?
For data analysis and report writing.
Okay. So let us say I'll go back to this pictorial view to more dig into it. Okay. So we have seen that in this pictorial representation that the patient is coming to the site. He's taking the drug. The samples are sent to the central lab. The reports are coming. The data manager is cleaning the data. And as we have seen the database is present. All the data is cleaned. Then these data is given to the statistician for the analysis purpose. So why do you think so? We need a SAS software to analyze the data. Why can't we do it with the Excel sheets? So when we take an example of a college or let us say any business area, we know that, okay, we'll take an example of a college. So there is a college running from 1993. Okay. So if you go today also, if you can ask them like what was any student who was studying in 1995, you want his records that is available in their Excel sheets. So why are we not considering the Excel sheets and why are we wanting a different software to analysis all this data? Anyone? What happened? So was it a very wrong question? Did I ask, or it is like are we not in a stage to answer that?
No, no, because this data is required after some time, and you should have the validation of the data or authenticity of the data for the in future.
Correct. So
That means,
don't you think so? Your Excel sheet gives you a liberty to store the data for a long. You can store it in a pen drive. You
but
can store it in a mail, isn't it?
but there you can change it or do some manipulation in
Yeah, in SAS also
this.
you can do it.
But with
Obviously, in
authorization,
statistics, yeah, yeah.
but there are level of authorization in SAS.
No.
Okay.
So yeah, because sorry for this, but actually when you see statistical software, I don't know how many of you seen a SAS software or not. It is just programmatically some lines written to execute some kind of data. And this data could be executed with everyone at every stages. Okay. So the only thing why we use a SAS software is to get an appropriate report. For example, as I said, there is an Excel sheet also. You can work on Excels also. But do you think so that can't we commit any error in the Excel sheet? We can. So as a human error also we can do it, but system will not give that system or human errors or anything. This will give you an incorporated very good report, which gives you the whole calculation of a software. So SAS is nothing but, if you come to the textbook definition, it is nothing but a highly flexible and integrated software environment that is used to access, manipulate, manage, store, and analyze and report the data. For example, there is a data, you're accessing it, you're managing it, you're analyzing it, you're presenting it in the format of a report. So this whole process is depending upon the reports generated by SAS. And for example, I don't know how many of you are aware of this or not. FDA has a set of guidelines that the reports which are going to send to FDA should be in a standard format way. For example, let us say take an example of a project which we do in our B pharmacy or M pharmacy or anything. So, for example, I'll take an example of JNTU. So JNTU has a set pattern of the TCS book which has to be submitted of our project. That first your objective has to be there, then your methodology has to be there, then your required items has to be there, then reporting, appendices, everything. So there is a way how it accepts the thing, and every student who is going to submit their project to the JNTU has to follow the same pattern. So the same way, our SAS has a standard thing, CDISC. So the reports has to be with the standard of CDISCs. Then only it will take its consideration to the FDA. Then only FDA will consider that particular study and they will analyze the reports. Without that, they will not do this. So the CDISC is nothing but standard data consolidium, which is helped to get the SAS reports in that particular format. For example, if I go to the next slide, it gives you a little more brief about it. So there is always raw data. There is always a SAS data set. Raw data set is nothing but the data which we get from the CDM people. So definitely we know that from CDM, when we work on all the data cleaning, everything, they will give us Excel sheets. So these Excel sheets are taken into SAS via a data step and just process that as a SAS data set and apply some procedures and take the reports. So this way the reports are generated, and this is how actually a SAS program looks. Okay, so this is a basic syntax which is written over here. So basically a SAS syntax consists of a data step and a proc step. So data step is always used to create the data and proc step is always create to a program. So this is an overview of a SAS window, how it looks. So it is very hard to take out the program and show you. But definitely there are institutes which teach you SAS very thoroughly programmatically. Okay, so you can, once you take any course of the SAS, they will have to teach you the SAS with this particular programming, or else it is not at all valid at any point of time. Apart from that, you can see there are some global certifications related to SAS. So when I say SAS, it is a global studio. Okay, so if this SAS software itself gives you an opportunity to get the certification. So there are two types of certification: base SAS certification, advanced certification. So this kind of certification will help you to recognize yourself as a certified programmer. This type of examination, you have to pay an online fee to the SAS studio itself. They will allocate an examination center to you. You have to go to that examination center and give this exam. So once you get above 80% at 75%, they will give you this certification. So once you receive this certification, it is very easy for you to get any job into the CRO industry. Okay, so there is nothing much that I have to dig into SAS, because this could be only done with the help of SAS software. Okay, so this SAS software is only taken up or trained by the SAS professionals when you take up the SAS course. So finally, one word conclusion I would like to give about SAS is nothing but analyzing the data with using a software. So you can see that with minimal lines of 3 to 4 programs, you can write a huge data of 3 to 4,000. Okay, so this type of software will give you an what you called time saving thing also, to make sure that you're representing everything in a report. Okay, coming to the job levels in the SAS, there are almost, let's say it is the same pattern which you see in the clinical data management. It is programming 1, programming 2, senior programmer, lead programmer, assistant programmer, director, everything. So now you might have a question that which part is more demanding? Is it SAS or is it CDM? So no one had that question?
Yes.
Yes.
So what is the question? What is the question?
Which one is more demanding?
So what do you think? So which one is demanding? Generating the data or analyzing the data?
Analyzing the data, like SAS.
Okay. So if someone is not generating the data, how will you analyze the data? What data you will analyze if no one is generating the data? I will say, as per my experience, which I have seen, or as per the industrial point of view, which I'm looking, SAS and CDM both are sisters. Okay, one is incomplete with another. So until unless you have a data, you can't analyze the data. Until unless you have an analyzing team, you can't generate the data. But one thing, to be honest, SAS is more preferred over CDM because of the pay matter. So for example, a data manager is getting almost 6 lakhs after his experience of 3 years. The 6 lakhs can be earned by a programmer in 2 years, let us say. Okay, so in point of earning, it is little more highly paid because the work stress is also the same. So anyone is scared of maths?
Yes, ma'am.
All of us, even I was the one who got the least in maths. Okay, so I was wondering that when I took up this course also initially 5 years back, I thought that okay, I don't know maths, how I'm going to manage this stuff. This is they're telling that coding everything, so how I'm going to process this. So I was little worried how to do and all. But trust me guys, once you get into it, it is not maths. Simply it's words. For example, data, length in file. Can you see any maths over here? No, there isn't any maths. It is simple words. It is simple coding language you have to remember. So because you are using little more brains, so it is little more paid and little more advantageous over CDM. That's it. But I will never say that we have less opportunities in SAS or more opportunities in CDM or something. It's like it goes in a parallel way. And trust me, the guy who knows from where the data is generated, the guy can more dig into the analysis and perform the analysis better. Okay. So do you want to know which are the companies which give you these opportunities? No one is interested?
Yes, ma'am. Interested, ma'am.
Okay. So these are some leading companies. Okay. So these are some leading CROs which have all the opportunities which just now me and Deepti has
I'm
said.
sorry, but can you zoom in the slide, ma'am? Or you can
Sure.
start the slide share.
No, actually, the reason why I'm not keeping slide share is the later for other PPTs it will be little hard, but that's okay. I'm zooming it. So is it fine now?
Yes, ma'am. It's fine.
Yeah. So you can see these are the top CROs, top 10 actually. So we have so many other also, but these are the top 10 when it comes to the uh, type of ambience they give or the type of packages they offer or else the work opportunity they give or the type of what you call leverage they give to work with them. Okay. So does anyone have you ever seen these CROs anywhere in the uh, your place and all?
Yes, ma'am. Quellitis
Mm-hmm.
and Paraxel.
Okay. So I'm sure you must like you're from. Can I ask you where are you from? Where do you saw this? Which place?
Chennai.
Okay, Chennai. Good. So in Hyderabad, so I'll I'll tell that Hyderabad because I'm in Hyderabad. So if you go to a place called Mindspace or if you're in Bangalore to Prestige IT Park or somewhere else, you might find all these companies over there. Okay, so there are equal bunch of companies which are there for a pharma graduate also when compared to a BTech student. So I just remember my days when I used to study B pharmacy and M pharmacy. I used to go into college bus. Okay, so there are some people who are from BTech background, MBA background. They used to tell that okay, our companies are more lavish than the pharma plants which we see because we know that the whole pharma plant how hard it is to work over there with all the safety gears and all that. So they used to tell that why pharma people don't have an opportunity to work in the lavish buildings which we see in the IT sector, the way how they work. So definitely, guys, we have the equal opportunities. Okay, we have the equal opportunities to work with such kind of IT infrastructure buildings and such corporate clients where we have opportunity to play with our own roots with the help of IT. So these are the some companies which gives us a liberty to do this thing. And apart from that, these are some leading sponsor companies which we actually gives us the project. So I'm sure that you might have came across all these companies: Pfizer, Novartis, Amgen, Merck, AstraZeneca, Roche, Eli Lilly. You have many more. Bayer. So all these are pharmaceutical companies which are involved into drug development and management. So these people give us the work of clinical trials because once they conduct a trial, the drug is out, they're going to manufacture the drug and they're going to release into the market. So these people are someone called as sponsor companies who are going to give us the piece of work which we have discussed now. Okay, so now guys, interesting question, interesting point which we were discussing. Now we can go with the question answer thing. So do you have any questions?
So SAS is the work. We have SAS work from home option, Rima, as well as in data management. Also, we have work from home options.
Basically, it depends on your experience actually. So if you are holding almost 3 to
And
4 years of experience and your manager knows that you can take the work responsibility individually, you can be given a work from home. That is not a concern. Now you can see that whole IT people are doing work from home since almost 4 to 5 months in this pandemic situation.
yes, I am doing work
Me
from
also.
home. So we can
And
work
guys,
from home.
have you noticed this wonderful incident? I don't know whether I should say this or not, but with this pandemic situation, we had so much of recession into IT, isn't it?
Right, ma'am.
We had. But have you ever seen a pharma graduate who had recession? Who is working in pharma IT or any other pharmaceutical sector? Have you seen? So how many cases have you seen? So someone said yes. See, there could be an impact at the entry level, but trust me, when it comes to my industry, especially CRO industry, I have not a single person who has gone through recession for this thing. Because even in this particular pandemic situation, we got more studies to do with the respect of COVID drug. So this particular COVID drug, I'm sure has given almost 100 studies to each CROs to work on it. So we should be proud to be in a sector, or we should be proud to be in a field where we are helping directly or indirectly to the country and to the people, which is a difficult job, Rima. No, who said it is a difficult job at CRO? I'm working as a statistical programmer since 5 years, and I don't feel that my job is really hectic. It gives me a liberty of working 9 to 5, and sometimes and trust me, the very good thing about CRO is you will have Saturday, Sunday off. Okay, no work. Only 9 to 5 work with pick and drop cab. You will have so many other benefits also. Okay. So, I don't think so. Majority of you will know that there are this type of leverages which you get into a CRO. So I will tell you the benefits and non-benefits. Okay. So first, let's talk about the bad things. Then we will go about the good things. Okay. The bad thing in a CRO is like you have to work only for 9 to 5. You know, and there is always a cap facility. I don't know why these people are giving pick and drop till you are home. And for example, if you are a girl, definitely they are going to give you an escort with you till you reach your home. Apart from that, I don't know why these people are giving us a facility of work from home. Maybe some of the CROs they give 3 to 4 work from homes for sure in a month. Apart from that, they give you paid leaves, annual leaves, sick leaves, casual leaves. Apart from that, they give you maternity leaves. Apart from that, some of the companies give paternity leaves also. And you know, some of the companies, for example, Novartis, Pfizer, or all these things, they give gym facility also and baby care facility also. What do you think? So, are these and all the what you called? I'm a statistical programmer in a CRO, because a CRO is nothing but contract research organization, which has end-to-end activities of both clinical data management, statistical analysis, PV, and also medical writing, medical coding, everything end-to-end. So I work as a statistical programmer, Rima. So Deepti is a clinical data manager. Okay, so this was the question which was asked by Rima. So now let us come to the bad things. Okay, so now when it comes to bad things, we should good things. We should say that we are always getting an opportunity of working what you called like for example, if there is a recession also, they are giving us a time of 6 to 7 months. They will inform us in prior that okay, if you want to quit this job or else any project is going down or any study is withdrawing, they'll give you a notice period. They will give you a PIP before taking you out of the jobs or anything. But trust me, good to see you both. Thank you. So even you all were a wonderful audience. So how much were you qualified when you got this job? Okay. So Rima, it is like I was completed my M pharmacy, but one good thing which I did was while doing my M pharmacy in the second year, I had some time to just learn these courses. So I have learned both SAS and CDM. Then I got certified as a base SAS programmer. Then I got into this job. Okay.
Hi Rima, so I have done my BPharm. Later on, I have started my MPharm and I have moved to the wet labs. I have worked there for 2 years, and later on, I have done this CDM and SAS trainings. Uh, I moved
Yes,
to IT
Lavanya.
sector.
Yeah. So Lavanya was asking Deepti that have we done this course or not? For a very basic information,
Yes.
I'll tell this. Me and Deepti, we have started our training in the same institute. And from that long, we have reached to this long. We have seen our struggling days and we are enjoying our success together.
Yeah, that's true. And we have done the certifications as well with even I have done the SAS certification because when I have trained as a student like you all guys, I have also started as a student for one of the institute because at that particular point of time we have no ES Pharma and there is no guidance actually. Do you know guys, I even when I'm working into wet labs, I don't know, we have the IT sector that we can sit and do.
What?
Seriously, I don't know. There is
Not
no
you,
guidance
Deepti,
for
but I'm
us.
sure that the audience which we have, even they don't know that we have such a big field over here, which gives you lots of opportunities like this. So, does anyone know? I don't think so. More of you doesn't know. Yep.
Yeah,
So,
Rima, we have a
so
special
Vinita,
training
you can
for
just
this.
contact Mr. Uma Shankar regarding this. So he's going to explain you his company detail. Now he's going to give you an overview of the course also. So let's just have a look on his thing. Then we will continue with the question and answer.
Yeah, just I have only 3 slides to present.
Yeah.
So thank you, Manviti, and thank you, Meher, for all the insightful presentation. So let me go into my presentation. So everyone can see the slides. So these are some of the pharma IT companies. One second. So our process is very simple. We prepare people here and we make them to practice the software and exams we'll be conducting. And in the terms of this interview level also, we'll show them the mock interviews, how to practice and all. And as I said,
Sorry, Mr. Umashankar, I just want to interrupt you in this.
yeah,
So, do you give the real software training?
yes,
So,
yes,
will you train them on the database?
yes, we'll give them that.
So,
We
guys,
have,
it is very important for any of you if you take a course into SAS or CDM, the software plays a very important role. If the person is training you on the live database or let us say the software, SAS software, lively programmatically, then please don't leave an opportunity with that. Yeah, please, sir, you can continue.
unless and until they saw the software and all, they can't crack the interviews at the right time. Right way.
Correct.
So this is the normal batch we kept. It will be like a 2 months of duration. We'll be giving technical training completely, and apart from that, we'll be giving the interview skills training, and we'll make them the student to speak up. So they'll be presenting their own PPTs about the subject as well as the company profile and all, and we'll help them in the resume preparation. We'll conduct regular exams, mock interview practice, and placement support. For the separate placement support, I have one slide. I'll be showing what is the process we follow at S Pharma Education. and you'll be getting regular updates about the jobs. And if you want to shift your fields also in future, we will be assisting in future also. And this is the brochure just to show some glimpse about our course content. So whether it may be CDM or SAS, this is the basic course content. If people are interested to join with us, we will be conducting another webinar, particularly for the interested students. We will be showing the technical content, what we are teaching here, what the process we follow
So
here.
would you give a demo also with the database and all?
Yes, we will give the demo. But it is for only interested students. After this
Yeah.
webinar, I'll be sending the feedback form. Those who are really interested to join with us, then for those only we will be conducting the webinar.
So guys, it's a good opportunity. Those who are interested can at least take a demo so you will understand how actually things are going on.
Yes. And this is the placement, unique placement process I follow at SFARM Education. Myself, I'll take care of all the resume updates, and I'll be giving some templates to prepare yourself, and I'll be giving the list of companies and web links to upload your resume in the companies. So I have a set of companies with me. So I'll be giving all the details to you once you complete your training with us, and regular updates of this walk-ins, as I said to you. And one thing I can tell you is that minimum 3 interviews will be scheduled by our team, yes, pharma team. So these are the 3 interviews, personalized interviews for the students. And if you don't crack in these 3 interviews also, it is our responsibility to give you a placement assistance till you get placed. Even you placed in a good company also, maybe after 2 years or 3 years, 5 years, you want to change your company, you name a company, I'll give a reference in that company. So that is our unique point. Why? Because we are in this field from last 10 years. My juniors, my seniors, and my batchmates, they are working in different giant corporates. So they'll be giving their reference, and there is no commercial part in that. But the thing is that if an employee refer any candidate, that employee will get some referral amount. So that is one thing. That's it. So as I said, mock interviews, practice, technical exams, all things will be there. And this is our institute located in Hyderabad. We have another branch in Guntur also. So this is a setup, but as this is a lockdown period, we are operating completely through online. Somebody has questioned me how out of India. So this is the right time for you. Even in the lockdown also, you can reach people in US, you can reach people in anywhere outside of India. So Corona has done some good thing in the digital world. So the world is moving in 10 times faster than the normal digital expectancy. As she said, every sector is facing recession right now, but not pharma. India is the pharma source for entire world. We supply this hydroxychloroquine, we are supplying this all the maps also, and we are making it the ready of the vaccine also. So the pharma world is going up drastically. Even health sector itself is developing in a rapid mode. So this is the right time for the people who want to learn their own skills in the new sector. So I have shown you some pharma career opportunities in the first slide. First thing is that identify your passion, where you want to work, whether it may be pharma in the CDM side, SAS, pharmacovigilance, or maybe other sector. Identify your passion, and opportunities are there everywhere. People might tell too much of competition, freshers are not getting jobs. That is there in 2008 also when I passed out my B pharmacy. So much of competition is there, but don't go for the negativity. You remove all the negativity from around your world, associate with the right people. When you see people or experts like this, definitely you'll get motivated, and they will give you the best guidance. And in the next webinar, those who are interested, I'll introduce some of the expert faculty from different corporate worlds, and you can talk to them very, comfortably way. Any kind of queries related to course, placements, faculty, you can reach me on this number. So if you have any questions right now, you can related to CDM or SAS job opportunities. So those experts are still in the line, so you can talk to them.
So thanks, Mr. Umashankar. So it was a very good thing I've seen, because I've seen so many institutes who don't show their databases, even they don't give the live database training, but still they say that they're going to place the people. I don't understand how they do it. So so this is a wonderful opportunity. So I guess there is a question from one of the candidate, Reema. So would you like to answer that? So she's asking about the fee structure actually.
Yeah, fees is not a constraint for us, but I can tell in the next webinar. Right now, we are keeping fees of 30K for each module. So for the SaaS, we are keeping 30K, and for CDM 30K. The reason is we give live software along with your practice, and we may give one project also to you. So this entire thing we can discuss in the later webinar. Once the students are interested to take coaching with us, we can give.
Sir, one thing I would like to share in between.
Yeah.
So actually, you're charging at 60K, but trust me, 5 years long back when I started, they charged me 1.5 lakh, sir.
Yes, yes. That is what.
Arey, Uma Shankar, why didn't you start too early, man? I have paid 3.5 lakhs for my SAS, CDM, PV, all the shit.
She took all the courses, I took 2 courses. That was a liberty with me.
Yeah, we are in this industry from last 10 years, but I never entered into this pharma IT. We have done with only the PG entrance exams and all. But later, after seeing the opportunities existing in this pharma IT sector, so we started this from last 3 years, and we are doing quite good, and we are getting good placements from the company, and we are getting good response. That is the reason we kept the fees also nominal wise, and considering all the facts of this Corona lockdown and all.
No,
So
actually, your fees is really what you call it is reasonable because, for example, let us assume 30K is for CDM, but when a fresher, if he gets job because of this training, his initial CTC will be 3.5. That means it lands him somewhere 28,000 per month. So whatever he is investing, he's getting in his 1 month, but he's getting a lifetime opportunity.
yeah,
So it's a good, reasonable thing. So
thank you.
really, I didn't know about your fee structure, but it's really good. I would like to suggest my friends also regarding it.
See, for the students, what I can tell is don't think about your fees or anything. Just you join with us, join with on our journey. It's our responsibility to make you get placed in a good company. That is what I can assure you.
Yeah, making career is a very different thing. Earning money is a different thing. But really, guys, if you start working on your career and you build it, money will come to you. You don't need to get into it. Learning is a non-stop process which is done in all the phases of your life. Trust me, even today, if something is there which I don't know, I just sit beside the people. Maybe my associates. I handle a team of approximately 30 people in my office. So there are people who come with lots of energy, the freshers especially, they come up with small tricks. I just wonder how they do so. So it is like I just sit with them and I start exploring things. Okay, how they are going to see this problem, how they are going to tackle this code and all. So it really gives me a wonderful opportunity to learn things. So guys, never stop learning, keep learning. Every learning would definitely help you at any point of time, and definitely each failure is always a next step to your career. And definitely we have seen this, no, that the tree which has fruits will have maximum numbers of stones. So life is also the same way. uh, so okay, let's take a classical example. So have do you know what is the difference between a race horse and a normal horse which is used for what you called lifting the load? So do you know the difference? So have you seen that there is a difference between the diet which both of them get? So this horse which is taking the weight and all, who is just lifting the passengers going, it will only they will feed grass, all these things to them. But the horse which is in the race, people will feed very diet conscious things, all the healthy proteins and all. Why? Because that is going to get into the race and it is going to win the battle.
Win the race.
Correct. So the same way, that particular horse which is there in that race, everyone beats that horse literally while doing the training because they want that to win. So the same way, every failure in our life or every what you call hurdle which we face will definitely take us to a next level of our life where we are going to be more strong, more mature, more informative, more proactive, more conscious, and more knowledgeable. So I would like to conclude myself. So thank you so much for being a wonderful audience. So if you have any doubts related to SaaS, CDM and all, you can contact Mr. Umashankar at any point of time. So even he has our contact details. So if there is something which we could help for any fresher to just get into the job or help them indirectly or directly, we are ready to help you at any point. So thank you so much. And I would really thank Mr.
I
Umashankar
should
also
give
to
thanks
thank.
for
Sorry?
as I asked earlier, I mean, you people to address our students, you immediately accepted our invitation, and thanks for coming and giving your wonderful insights. I personally thanks Manadipti and Mehraj on behalf of all the students. As it's a free session, definitely I disturbed your weekend, I feel. So
No, that is fine. But because maybe our one weekend could help us to just take a right path in their careers, that will really make us more happy. We are here to help them out. There is
thank you.
no issue.
Thank
And thanks for
Yeah,
all the things.
that's
Thank you,
true.
Manadipti. Thank you, Mehraj. So if I
Thank you,
close the
Mashankar.
session in another 2 minutes, if anyone has questions, you can ask, or else you can leave the meeting.
So, guys, at least you should give us the feedback. No, if you're sitting calm, that means from 2 hours we are wasting our time or what?
No, no, actually, I'll send some feedback from to all the students, and I'll make a
It was
proper review and
webinar. It was a very good webinar, Shankar sir and the two guests. Very nice. They shared very informative. This was a very informative session. Like we got a chance to see the database also. So
Thank you so much. Yeah.
It's like when you learn the things, initially it might be the PPT, then later on you'll get into the database. As Uma Shankar, he said he'll provide the live database experience. So guys, you should not miss this opportunity. You just get trained and find the right way, and where you fit, you just analyze. If you have any confusion regarding where can I fit, so how much I can take the tensions or what, how can I manage, you just get in touch with Uma Shankar. He'll guide you. I think he'll guide you very in such a way.
Yeah, so there was a question popping up regarding the interviews. Guys, CRO has taken only work from home. It has not stopped working. Okay, so we have multiple openings. So I would like to say that in Accenture, there were fresher openings just yesterday also, till yesterday also. So there were so many other openings in IQVIA, all other were Covans everywhere. So lockdown is only for the office, okay, not for the work which we are doing, okay. We are here more energetically working on the COVID studies now. So the interesting part is like we are contributing at least a 1% of our effort into the COVID studies, and we are really proud to come from an industry where we are helped to just tackle a world pandemic which we are seeing, isn't it, Deepti?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, thank you very much, Manadipti, and thank you, Meher. Thanks for your time.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Please stay safe, keep safe, take a right decision. All the best, guys. Thank you so much. Yeah, so that's all for the day. Have a nice day. Have a nice weekend. Bye bye.
Thank you all.
Thank you all. Bye.